Greetings, dear friends, fellow programmers, and those aspiring to be. Welcome back to Marko Code Academy. Today, I'm going to take you on an adventure in which I will be sharing my personal reasoning why I have decided to learn JavaScript instead of the countless number of different front-end technologies and frameworks that are talked about all the time nowadays. And what I can say in the beginning of this video is it was definitely a hassle, but in the end it was worth the trouble. So if you would like to hear out my story and maybe allow me to change your mind about vanilla JavaScript, just sit down, take a cup of coffee, and enjoy the video. So, about 8 years ago, there I was, sitting comfortably in my chair, working with ASP.NET Core, building amazing applications when it comes to backend technologies, but soon enough, I hit a wall. My personal projects and freelancing gigs required something besides a rock-solid backend knowledge in order to make my customers satisfied and to build projects that will have some kind of UI attached to them. All of those needed some front-end magic to take place. You know, I'm talking about that slick, interactive user experience that can be provided only by good front-end frameworks. And sadly, ASP.NET Core at that moment still did not have Blazor at its disposal, so I had to turn to something else. So I knew what I needed to do. I needed to learn JavaScript and to do it as soon as possible. And my personal thinking was, how hard can it be? I already mastered ASP.NET Core and C#, and another programming language is not going to be too big of a deal. Well, boy did I get surprised when I started learning JavaScript. It was different. It was not the same structure, organization. It was not working in the expected way as C# did. It was way less organized. It was a bit quirky, and there were certain aspects of it that were really tough to master and get a firm grasp on. At times, it felt like trying to herd cats, and that's not a pleasant experience. I guess you can imagine. But I knew I had to do this and pull it off, because my dreams were on stake there. If I wanted to build truly amazing products that are not going to be just backend logic, because you sure can build projects that will have only backend logic to them, but me personally, I wanted to build something that had UI slapped on top of it. So it was not just an amazing idea for a logic that is going to do something meaningful, but to also be able to make it look nice. You know, something like Beauty and the Beast story. And yeah, I would highly appreciate if you were pretend like my designs are a beauty and my backend logic is a beast that can perform really well. It would be highly appreciated from my side, certainly. Thank you for understanding, of course. So, I did what I had to. I started learning JavaScript. And courses started piling up. I was reading books, I was learning jQuery as a more user-friendly approach to JavaScript, and yeah, I decided after a few months of doing that it's perfect time to put the acquired knowledge to the test. And at that point, I was certain that there was nothing I could not build, or at least figure out how to build. Boy, was I wrong, because I was not able to deliver myself all the functionalities that front-end part of that project was supposed to deliver. So I had to hire help in order to meet my expectations, to basically do what I agreed with my client. So I collected a piece of my hard-earned money and gave it to somebody else, just so I would be able to deliver what was agreed upon. And at that point, it was really tough for me to do that, because I saw it as my personal defeat, because I was not able to get up to the challenge and deliver everything that I was supposed to. But that feeling changed very quickly, because as soon as I received the solution from this person, I saw that I was receiving a lot of value from it. I was learning new concepts. I was understanding JavaScript way better after I did that than before I actually had the opportunity to see somebody else's code in action. So it was basically a win-win situation. First of all, I managed to deliver everything that was expected of me, so my client was really glad that I did that, and also I got new knowledge at my disposal because I was able to see code of somebody who was at that point way more experienced than I was. And of course, after that, I did not give up. I still kept going strong. I was watching courses, I was reading books on JavaScript. Also, I was working on many other freelancing projects. I actually felt that slowly but surely, JavaScript is starting to behave like I expected it to. Or basically, I started understanding it enough to know what is going to happen in certain situations. And then came the breakthrough moment. I felt ready to again prove myself worthy as a JavaScript developer. So I started building my first personal project. It is called Savour Experience, and it is a platform for perfume lovers. And basically what I wanted that platform to have is a section where every user was able to create their own virtual collection of perfumes, and they were able to organize them in any way they liked. And I really wanted to build that functionality, but when I started doing it, I was just getting from stuck to not moving to going backwards. So at that point, I did what I had to. I again hired help. So this time I hired a dear friend of mine to help me out in this process, and he basically made this functionality for dragging and dropping perfumes for me, and also he introduced some logic for API communication, out of which I was able to learn a gazillion new things that enabled me to become way better organized developer when it came to JavaScript. Which is when I basically learned that it was not all up to learning the syntax, and that not everything that you need to know as a senior developer can be found online. Because even if you can find the materials you're looking for, they're hidden in the ocean of basic stuff, of misleading information, of answers that are just working solutions, not the best possible ways to address some issues. So it was really tough to learn advanced ways and proper ways, best practices on writing quality JavaScript code. But over the time, experience by experience, bit by bit, I think I managed to accumulate enough knowledge to feel comfortable saying that I'm a fairly good JavaScript developer, able to write clean, well-organized, maintainable code that also performs well. And I'm about to share why I was saying this. It was not just for bragging, even though it was. But the main idea was, when I started feeling this way, I wanted to prove to myself, once again, that I really have mastered JavaScript, and also at that point domain-driven design for ASP.NET Core. So I decided to build a project for myself, and it is what now is known as Penny Planner application. So what I did, I spent time and effort mastering domain-driven design, CQRS, Mediator when it came to backend, and introducing them in a real-life project and product, and also on the front end, which was very complicated and included a lot of calculations, graphs, charts, which are not using a single library. Everything was done manually by me and the JavaScript code on the front end. And of course, the idea was that besides me learning new stuff and mastering concepts in practice, that I will end up with an application for my personal budget planning, which I did in Excel sheets prior to that moment. And then, as the application was done, I wanted to brag a bit because I really liked the design of it and the functionalities that it offered. So I showed it to a couple of my friends who were really excited about it and started pushing me to push it into production. But I still was not feeling comfortable with it, did not want to invest more time because I was working multiple jobs, I was building a lot of stuff, I was really busy at that time. So I felt like it would be too much at that moment. I would not be able to give necessary attention and love to this project if I released it. And then it occurred to me that there are basically no YouTube channels that cover everything that I do. Talking about programming and learning to do everything in both backend and frontend, and also everything else that is required for us as people not being millionaires, able to pay everything in the process of building a successful product, to also know stuff like SEO optimizations, marketing, performance optimizations, keyword research, and all of those things. And basically, that is when I decided I wanted to build a YouTube channel, which is the one you're currently at, and also use the Penny Planner application as a working project that will be used and filmed from the ground up as I build it. So I did exactly that. I built this YouTube channel where I'm doing my best to share as much value as I possibly can, and also I've rewritten the Penny Planner application, which is live right now. You can take a look at it. The link is in the description of this video. And the only thing left is for me to go through all the filmed materials and edit them, which takes a lot of time, which I currently do not have to invest into that. But I promise I will do that really soon as I possibly can. But the main premise here, I think we went off track a bit here, is the fact that I managed to master JavaScript on the level which allowed me to build everything that is on Penny Planner application, even though it is really front-end heavy. Like you can see right here that it looks really nice and it really is very flexible. You have a lot of functionalities, you have a lot of charts, graphical designs that are supposed to make you understand how your finances are working. It's supposed to be very simple, nice looking, modern, and also flexible. Of course, I'm not going to mention performance of it because it is very well optimized. And the most fun part for me is the fact that there is not a single JavaScript library included in this project. Everything, every single line of JavaScript was written by me and myself. So everything can be done if you go through the hustle and go through the pains and struggles and keep going and never give up. So if you're just starting out, I would like to say to you, just learn the basics, right? And then start extending on those basics. So you first need to understand the quirky parts of JavaScript, which are, I know, very difficult to understand. I'm talking about concepts like hoisting, closures, the infamous this keyword, and once you do understand all of those, and I do my best to explain all of those concepts here on the channel, and when you do understand them, you will love JavaScript. You will feel like a god because you're able to understand how everything works under the hood. And even if you want to learn and use React or any other framework, you know that they're using JavaScript under the hood and you can understand the core of the language you are working with. And it really does feel like you're a god having the ability to see into the core of the issues. But I still did not give you the answer. Why have I decided to learn vanilla JavaScript when we live in the world where we have technologies like React, Vue.js, Next.js, or Angular, or TypeScript, or jQuery, or whatever you like? There are a gazillion frameworks nowadays. And what made me decide that JavaScript is the way to go. So please take this as my subjective personal explanation, because it is exactly that, my personal explanation and my personal preference. It doesn't mean that learning and using those frameworks is wrong, not in any way. I'm just going to share why have I personally decided to approach things as I did. Well, the first thing that was probably the biggest selling point for me is the fact that all of those languages are built in JavaScript. So if you're using JavaScript to build those frameworks and abstract away certain behaviors that might not be so easy to understand in JavaScript, and then build an entire framework on top of it to make the code more organized, easier to navigate, easier to understand, well, if you understand JavaScript, you will have no issues like that. You will know how to organize your code. You will write very clean, nice, easy to follow code, and you will know exactly why everything inside of it is happening. So you will kind of have no issues in that area, but also not have too much bloatware that comes with an entire library created to allow you to use those flexibilities. And you cannot use everything that these libraries provide to you. Basically, it's impossible. So you will just use a certain subset of those functionalities, and the rest is just going to be payload that is going to be brought to client every time they launch your application. And Google doesn't like that. It doesn't like sending any unnecessary payload to clients when it doesn't use them. So once you completely understand JavaScript and all of its features, you will be able to have full control over everything that is happening in the application. You will not need any kind of abstraction or any kind of bloat code to make your life easier. You might want to build something very quickly, and in those situations, go ahead, use whatever you prefer. But when you need to focus on performance and on full control of things, JavaScript is your best friend. And of course, there is no downside to knowing and mastering JavaScript. Once you do know it and master it, you will just benefit from it through your entire career. Because when you know the basics of JavaScript, you can use them to fully, even more than most people, understand other frameworks which are relying on JavaScript and its underlying mechanisms. Because you cannot evade them, they're still there. And when you understand them, you can just use them to your advantage. So basically, JavaScript had a huge impact on my entire career, because it allowed me to be able to create whatever comes to my mind, basically. Everything can be done with JavaScript, and maybe if it is something very concrete and needs certain help, you can use some of its libraries, which are plentiful. And whenever you want to learn a new framework, you can do it with ease, because you know how everything works under the hood. And also, one friendly advice: if you are interested to just working for some company and get hired, in that case, vanilla JavaScript will probably not be your best choice. It will be awesome to learn it, but you will have to learn those popular frameworks as well, because there are so few job openings for vanilla JavaScript nowadays that it is very difficult to land a job as a vanilla JavaScript developer. So you will want to invest additional time to mastering JavaScript in order to be even better at those popular frameworks. So I just wanted to let you know about it, and you have the information at your disposal. So basically, not everything is perfect about JavaScript. And one last thing, stay updated. JavaScript and all of its frameworks are constantly being expanded on. New frameworks are being created, new libraries are becoming available. We have a lot of new stuff happening all the time in basically all the programming languages, but JavaScript is no exception. So you want to invest your time and efforts into constantly learning and expanding your capabilities when it comes to best practices, options you have at your disposal so you would make better informed decisions. And to put things into simple terms, to make everything you do as awesome as humanly possible. Now, I would just like to thank you for joining me today and to ask you to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you found it useful, and spend some time investigating other videos I have prepared for you because I think that their quality and the informative value is very substantial. Also, if you would like to share your personal take on this subject, it is always so appreciated to do so. I'm always eager to hear the stories of you guys. So that way we can connect better, I would be able to maybe improve on something and make this content even better for you. And until the next video, I would like to thank you for watching and wish you an amazing day. Happy coding!